A parent's worst nightmare.
We had a student that was jumped, bleeding from the head and nose. Julie was unconscious.
He never imagined his child's life would end over a vape pen and some earbuds.
10 of them have been arrested.
That violent fight went viral. What are the charges they're facing?
Murder.
You say there's nothing more you could do, but there is more that we can do. I have a grave warning for you tonight. Families are under attack in America. The relationship between parent and child is falling apart. Families are often defaulting to their children to find role models among their peers or on the internet in social media platforms, rather than creating a family unit including strong role models and a solid moral compass. Now, is that happening on purpose? Of course not. But there's so much noise, so much happening around us. What we have is a situation that the competition is so great. There's so many voices in our children's ears. And those voices come with a lot of glamour, a lot of glitz. And that makes being a role model so much harder. So we just have to understand that our job has to ratchet up. And that means we can't be weak role models. We just can't. The emotional development of these kids and their coping skills is resulting in low self-esteem because they're not getting experience because they're living on their phones. Videos of teens beating other teens up for likes has taken a huge uptick on these social media platforms. Now, think about that. Why is it happening? The evidence is that there's just no North Star, no value system. Why are kids out doing this to each other? You have to say, where's the responsibility in these crisis situations? The effects are wide-reaching. We see them in the workplace, crime on our streets, and in our schools. This country is based on a meritocracy where people stand up and earn their right to be in the positions they're in, and there has to be accountability. But these schools are not even being custodians of the position they have. They are clearly rewarding bad behavior, not teaching critical thinking, and not requiring students to treat themselves and others with dignity and respect. Now, has the system, the family unit, failed these bullies? Well, maybe so. But first, you have to put out the fire before you focus on fire prevention. Now, we're going to meet two mothers who say their teen daughters will never be the same after their beatdowns by the same bully actually went viral. And we're going to talk also to the 13-year-old girl who threw the punches and her parents to find out why she required so little of herself. But first, a parent's worst nightmare. Jonathan says he knew his 17-year-old son, also named Jonathan, was being bullied at school, but he never imagined his child's life would end over a vape pen and some earbuds.
17-year-old Jonathan Lewis died after several days on life support.
We had a student that was jumped, bleeding from the head and nose, and there was a nurse that was on scene starting CPR. Julie was unconscious.
He was trying to protect one of his smaller friends, and three of them kind of attacked him, and he defended himself, and they couldn't beat him up, so the rest of the group joined in.
Julie is most likely going to die from this.
It's just like absolute lunacy. You know, it just looks like these kids have gone totally mad.
Oh my God.
Jonathan, you've seen the video of that fight, correct?
I've seen a few seconds of it. I couldn't really watch any of it. It really is damaging to my heart and my mind to even watch it.
I can't even imagine. And that was not the only day that your son was bullied, correct?
Yes, there was several other instances. Obviously, this is a large group that gets together all the time, and they're all over the school. I mean, the schools are not that large, and they had been stealing stuff from him and his small friend, and there was several instances that were known that had occurred within the weeks prior.
And had he talked to you about this?
We had talked on the phone several times in the weeks prior, and I knew something was wrong. I kept messaging him and his mom and telling him that he needs to leave Las Vegas and come live with me. And I called CPS, and nobody would listen to me.
So what happened, as far as you know, is that this was an after-school incident, and his friend, who was smaller, had something taken of his, something stolen.
Yes, it's alleged, but I believe that there's also evidence that the detectives have that they know. That's what they have told me.
4 students that were involved in this situation have been arrested and charged with murder, correct? There are others that are being looked at and will likely be charged as well.
Yes, 10 of them have been arrested.
Okay, 10 have been arrested now?
Yes, I believe it's 10.
And according to police, they will be charged and tried as adults. So people get a sense of what happened, and I know you don't want to look at this, and we're gonna play this now, so people get a sense of the violence. And if you want to look away at this point, this is a good time to close your eyes. You can see this is like a pack of wild animals here. Obviously, his son is on the ground. He's being kicked. He's being punched. And he wound up in the hospital and died 6 days later of multiple blunt force trauma to the head. As parents, we expect when we send our kids to school alive in the morning, we expect them to come home alive at the end of the day. We expect them to be safe in school. We expect the administrators of the school to communicate to parents, to have an awareness if there is a gang of thugs moving about the school and intimidating others. Now, the school says, well, this happened off the school grounds. This was yards off of the school boundary. That's my understanding. Is that yours?
Yes, that is the understanding. However, I mean, this group of kids is known to be doing these type of activities around the school. And the school obviously knows that these kind of events are occurring. You know, they even knew all of these children, and they brought them in for questioning after this occurred. So they obviously knew who these people were.
And they made a statement. They said, although the incident occurred off campus and after school hours, the student was brought back to campus, and our committed staff members who were still on campus immediately rendered aid until first responders arrived. What did you think the purpose of that statement was?
They don't want to hold themselves accountable. They don't want to reflect and analyze what could be done better based upon the cost, based upon the monstrosity of the issue. So they just send out a blanket statement to the media absolving themselves in any way, shape, or form that they can.
And when you found out about this, that your son was in the hospital, what was your first reaction?
I just dropped to the ground and was shaking so badly I couldn't even function. And, you know, I was just unimaginably ripped apart into a million pieces in my heart and in my mind. We sat in the hospital with him and just held his hand and just did everything we could to just hold hope. And, you know, I mean, I just sat there, and I had to be told by a doctor that my son was brain dead.
When you realized it was over and that he had in fact been kicked and beaten to death, take me through that moment.
As a human being, I felt just an overwhelming sadness for humanity. And as a dad, I don't ever get to hug my son again, and I don't get to help him to explore life and expand himself and develop himself and be able to ever go hang out with him. Or it was just obviously broke my heart. Yeah, it was just brutal, unimaginably brutal.
Well, I'm going to ask you a hard question that I know you've asked yourself, which is why I'm going to ask it to you now. Do you feel like you failed your boy?
I did everything I could for my son. I mean, there's no way that we could ever say that we, as parents, I feel like we're constantly striving to do more for our children. We're constantly, trying to develop ourselves. We're constantly trying to be there more and engage more and give more and develop ourselves more and lead by example more. But there is absolutely nothing that you could possibly ever do. When they're out there, when the community has developed itself into this state where we have apathy and where violence and domination is promoted by the collective and by our so-called leaders, and that's what they have to walk into every day, there's nothing you can do. There's literally, you're totally helpless. I on a consistent basis, day in, day out, stress over my children's safety. And you try everything you can. You try working with other people. I try contacting CPS. Nobody would do anything. They're like, well, what evidence do you have? Like, I can sense it. I'm talking to my son and I know something's wrong. I know something's deeply, deeply wrong. And he doesn't want to tell me everything because he's a strong, proud young man and he wants to, handle his own life, which is good. And I taught my son to be loving and kind and respectful, and that those are the great strengths of a warrior. I have the last text message I had with me and my son was, we were talking about how if you have love in your life, you have everything. And at 17 years old, my son understood that. He messaged me back and he's like, yeah, Dad, I'm realizing that more and more, that if you have love, you have everything. What more can any of us do when this is the state of our society? On a consistent basis, our children just are being bombarded with toxic, horrific domination, violence. On a consistent basis, we're just allowing all of our leaders to say that all the problems should be solved with violence and that there's no other way to be able to promote any other sense of community other than that we have to just control everybody and everybody has to be inoculated and nobody can have their natural state of elevation, including inside of their immunological structure. Like this is a problem that goes from the very root of our entire existence all the way through to our psyche. Like there's not one part that is left unhinged.
Well, I'm not going to tell you that I know how you feel because I can't say that. I have two boys. Robin and I have two sons. And if you haven't lost a child, I can't look you in the eye, dad to dad, and tell you I know how you feel because I don't. But I have to disagree with you. You say there's nothing more you could do, but there is more that we can do. You use the word collective. As a community, as a country, as a collective consciousness, we have to fight back against this. We have to stand up and fight for the soul of America. We have to stand up and fight together against this. We've got these acts of violence going on around this country. We have them going on in our schools and on the streets. And together we can stand up and fight back against this. I mean, do y'all agree with that? I mean, we've got to stand up and do something about this. We cannot allow this to go on. We've got courts that aren't holding people accountable. We've got prosecutors that aren't prosecuting violent criminals. We've got judges that are putting them back on the streets. And we've got to be willing to step up and say enough is enough and too much is too much. And we're going to protect our children. We're going to protect our families. And the only way we're going to do that is if we raise our collective voices to say enough is enough and too much is too much. And when you have come here and you've lost a son like this, then people have to feel that pain and share that with you and stand with you in this fight.
I completely agree with you. I can't do it on my own, but we can do it together. And that's why I'm creating this organization, the Love Humanity Movement, for my son, like based upon that last message I sent him. Because I come from a warrior class family. Like we're a warrior culture. And it's okay to have warriors. But we need to have healthy warriors. We need to be able to teach them to protect and to be loving and kind, not to be violent, not to promote sadistic behavior. And we can only do that together by showing them the strength of what a community can be. When these children see what compassion is in action, when they see what empathy is in action, when 100 or 1,000 people get together and they work together to do some actual good for the community, create systems of working together that when they leave the school, there's people that know about it and they can communicate with one another. When there's parental platforms, that there's mediation between parents that don't work well together. And when we're actually teaching our children that we care about them by actually building like healing arts centers and community programs that promote positive media and have positive media platforms. Like, it's very clear, like Newman, for instance, he said very clearly, like, the mob mentality is clearly known in the state of psychology, and that this is, it could very easily be a variant of what positive or negative.
Now, there's no question about that. When we come back, two mothers say their 12-year-old daughters were bullied by the same classmate. They've taken legal action on the same little girl. Now, we're going to meet them next and continue this dialogue, because I'm telling you, when I say family in America is under attack, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. And I say we've got to be who we are on purpose. You don't wake up each day and just go through the world reacting to whatever is put in front of you. You have to decide, I'm going to be who I am on purpose. I'm going to create the environment in which we live on purpose. And we've got to decide what that purpose is.
I'm here today to announce that we have 8 suspects in custody for the murder of Jonathan Lewis.
I saw it on the news and everything, but I still didn't know Gianni was involved until about 2 or 3 days later. That's when my brother called me and told me about it. The boy jumped on Gianni. He pushed Gianni and punched him in the face, and that's how it all got started. He's being charged with second-degree murder. I don't know why, because how can you murder somebody when you're defending yourself from them? I mean, he just turned 17. They're going to charge him as an adult. These are kids. They didn't go in there trying to kill nobody. It was just a fight. They was protecting themselves from this guy with the knife. I blame my nephew and I blame the system, because the system is failing. Where were the school police? Where were the metro police? That was preventable. I'm sorry for their loss. I hope they can move on from it. I know it's going to be painful for years to come, but I pray to God that He just bless them and keep them and watch over them and put forgiveness in their heart.
What's your reaction to that?
My son didn't go out there wielding a knife, trying to stab anybody. There was obviously an origin from this, and these events were known. They were spread throughout the school, but they were stealing stuff, and they were bullying them and dominating them. And when you get to that point, this is why I continue to bring up that we have to have a healthy warrior culture, because it's absolutely natural for you, when you're backed into the corner, that you're going to try to do something about it.
I've read the police reports. There was no knife found at the scene. That's what I'm saying. There's got to be accountability here. You can't blame, well, the police should have been there to stop them. Yeah, I wish the police had been there. But, you know, this starts at home. We'll talk more about this as we go along. I said we were going to meet two mothers. Heather says a 13-year-old bully smacked, punched, and kicked her 12-year-old daughter in their apartment's community center. That violent fight went viral. The two girls went to the same middle school, but Heather says the school didn't punish the attacker. 4 months later, another mother, Adriana, says her daughter was lured into the school's bathroom by the same bully. That horrific fight was also caught on video. So both mothers say this little girl never suffered any major consequences, but their daughters are still struggling. Take a look.
I just about dropped. This girl, the way she wailed on my daughter, you see this on YouTube, you see this on the news, you don't think that this is gonna happen. I went across the street to the courthouse and I filed for a restraining order. They continued to make further problems, spitting on our door and bringing more kids to cause problems. Schools continued to do nothing. 2 attacks happened after we had warned them this would continue.
She's not the only one that was attacked by this girl. My daughter was attacked too. My daughter was the one that called me. The school did not call me, let me know anything. She called me crying hysterically, saying, "Mom, I was attacked in the bathroom." She had a bruise on her head. I filed a police report and I told them that I want to press charges.
It's affected everything, our financial stability. We've had to move, we've had to lose things, we had to give up things, but I will do anything to save my daughter. We're broken. I blame the school. They should have protected her.
She should have been expelled from that school. That first fight should have been the end of it. If she's doing this to this little girl, she's doing it to a lot of people.
All right, Heather, Adriana, glad to meet you both. Sorry for the circumstance. Heather, let me start with you. How did you learn that your daughter was being targeted and bullied?
My daughter's always been really outgoing, loving, patient, and she started showing signs of all the opposite. I mean, just one day she's this and one day she's that, and it's just very limbo. It was just, we didn't know what was going on with her.
So this was an ongoing thing.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't just one day.
No, this was not one day.
Okay, and how about your daughter?
She came in, she told me, I'm getting targeted, yes.
Yeah.
And
I mean, my daughter also complained of it too, but just like everything that I grew up to hear, don't start fights, you walk away, you be the bigger person. That's what I engraved in my children's life, and I regret it. She did exactly what I told her to do, and I kicked myself for it.
And what did you tell her to do? You said do what?
Walk away.
Walk away. Okay, and you regret that?
Yes.
What did you want her to do?
Defend herself.
Okay, but sometimes that doesn't make sense. Sometimes they're not equipped to do that. Your daughter was what size?
At that time, she was probably about 90 pounds, 95 pounds.
Yeah, okay. And the bully?
About a size, she's quite bigger.
Yeah, she's about 5'5", 145, 150 pounds, something like that?
Something around if I was to guess, yeah.
Okay, and that's often the case. I've actually got 2 volunteers here. Could y'all just face each other? These are the relative sizes of the 2 girls, right?
Very, very, very good, yeah.
And if you can, just put your hands on her shoulders like we talked about. Now, this is a difficult situation, so if she's supposed to fight back, you got a difficult problem on your hands, right? Because you can kind of toss her around in a pretty easy way, and so fighting back is not necessarily an option unless she's been highly trained and equipped to do it.
Which she is now.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that, but we don't necessarily want her to have to rely on that. But this is where kids find themselves, in a bathroom or a hallway or something like that. So thank y'all. If we can see this again, this is in the community center here, and she's saying, what are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? And she's pushing her, and then she's blocked, and then you can see she just slaps her right here, so she tries to go away, and then now, she grabs her, bang, onto the floor. Another girl grabs her, so they're 2-on-1. Now she's pounding on her, and repeated blows to the head.
And repeated, please stop.
Yeah. Adriana, in your situation, she was lured into the bathroom, right?
yes.
Now, that tells me that this wasn't impulsive. If she was lured into the bathroom and there was a cameraman there, this was premeditated.
Yes.
The trap was set. She was lured in there, then she's attacked when she was in there. What happened when she went in the bathroom?
So when she went into the bathroom, she noticed that a couple girls came out the stall and they approached her, and she's like, what's going on? What's going on? And immediately just started attacking her. One of the teens had a camera and pointed the camera to her as she's just getting attacked by all the other girls. They closed the bathroom door so she could not escape. And my daughter was screaming and screaming and screaming, no help. The only how she was able to escape was one of the students came into the bathroom and opened the door, and my daughter immediately ran out.
You know, here's the thing. These bullies have parents, right? These bullies have parents. So are they oblivious to this whole thing? Are they not?
My daughter is not a bully. She's a good kid. She's not that girl. And to make her feel like she is, that's kind of sad.
As of right now, I think that might be one of the biggest mistakes of her life. One of my biggest fears is her being locked up in the juvenile system. I do worry that she's on that path.
The bully who started the fight did not apologize. We did not hear anything from her. The parents did not reach out to me. The parents did not say anything to me.
The mother took it very lightly, pretty much blamed it at kids will be kids kind of attitude. It's not going to stop because the mom is not stopping. She allows this to happen and takes pride in it.
Irvin and Carla say their 13-year-old daughter has never been in trouble before, except for these two fights that went viral on social media and made headlines throughout the country. Now, Carla says everyone is making her child out to be the big bad villain. But Irvin says he's worried about his daughter. He believes that she has major anger issues.
My daughter is not a bully. She's a good kid.
My daughter, she's a sweet girl. She's very caring. She's funny. She's beautiful. I don't think that she's a bully at all.
What's up? What you doing, huh?
I was in shock, whoa, it's sad.
Prior to the altercation, my daughter came home at least a good 3 weeks in a row. Mom, this girl doesn't stop video recording me, calling me racial slurs. My daughters are mixed, beautiful black girls, and they're being called in with the hard R.
I guess she snapped.
Now she's in court for an assault 3, and that's on the second fight that she was in. I think the second fight, it was more like she was being talked into it.
The whole video I watched, I'm I almost shed tears. It's sad because the girl looked defenseless. You had your friends there, and it seemed like you were doing it because they were egging you on.
Just beat her up already. Just beat her up already. Just beat her up already. Like peer pressuring. And at 13, hormones are all over the place. You're gonna try to impress your friends. Dumb, right?
As of right now, I think that might be one of the biggest mistakes of her life.
She got kicked out of school 3-4 months. She got taken off the bus. She got this, she got that.
One of my biggest fears is her being locked up, being a felon, not being able to see her full potential. I do worry that she's on that path.
Well, Irvin is here, and Carla is joining us virtually. Carla, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You say that your daughter is not a bully.
No.
I watched a video of her in the community center where she seemed to pretty clearly attack a much smaller girl and pursue her when she tried to make her exit. How would you describe that behavior?
I wasn't okay with it, but you guys only see what they're showing you.
Okay, what are we missing?
Prior to that, so my daughter's little sister was down there, and they were calling her some nasty names. And my older daughter came around the corner and confronted the situation inside. And she was like, you're not gonna do nothing, you're not gonna do nothing. She goes, I'm gonna give you a chance to be quiet. And it went on from there. But even prior to that, there was weeks, at least 3 weeks, I would contact the school. I said, isn't there cameras on the bus? Because my daughter's complaining about a girl that's videoing her every day, calling her names. My dad said I could do this, blah, blah, blah. And the school never got back to me, of course, but it was an issue way before this.
And
Pick, every day.
okay, and you say that the bullies in this situation are actually these two mothers who have gotten together and painted your daughter in a negative way in the media.
Absolutely. The first one, I didn't even see that mother until the first court date.
Was the court wrong to issue a non-stalking order?
I believe that was going too far.
Okay. I'd like you to take a look at this video, because this is a video that appears to be your daughter pounding on the apartment door where you live, which would be in violation of that stalking order.
I got a hold of management because we have cameras in the hallways. And they did give me a written statement saying that my daughter never knocked on that door. She's not the one that said anything. She's not the one that flipped off the ring bell. They don't know who it was, and that girl doesn't even live in this building. And they weren't there by her door. They were the next door where another girl that is my daughter and their friend. That's why they were in the hallway. Once that got brought to my attention, we told my daughter to not even go on that floor, even though she has other friends on that floor.
Well, she had a restraining order, so she can't go on that floor. She can't, and that is your door she's pounding on, right? I mean, we verified that is the door she's pounding on.
I didn't see where my daughter is pounding on the door.
You say that it's the media's fault for painting her as a villain, and you blame her peers for goading her into it, and you blame the mothers for putting her in a bad light. If you had a role in this, what would it be?
I take accountability for everything. Like anything my kids go through, I'm going to get to the bottom of what's going on. What I'm saying with social media and these parents is that not one time did these parents ever try to come to me correctly. I did try to go through management here and through the school with an apology letter from my daughter. Management said they didn't want that.
Do you think your daughter is culpable here, Irvin?
She definitely handled the situation wrong regardless of the matter.
Do you believe that she bullied Heather's daughter? I mean, you saw the video, she pulled her down by her hair and hit her in the head?
The video looks like that, but I don't believe that she's a bully. No, I don't.
You don't believe your daughter's a bully?
No, not at all.
You don't believe her slapping her in the face and hitting her in the head multiple times and dragging her down by the hair makes her a bully?
I mean...
To a smaller child?
No.
No, not necessarily.
No.
I mean, because from what I get, I understand my daughter is a bigger girl, you know, I'm a bigger man, you know, so she obviously takes after my genetics, but I don't feel like she is a bully, no, because I don't know what happened prior to the situation.
What theory makes that behavior acceptable?
No, it's not. It's not at all.
Well, but you're saying she's not a bully. Something might have happened ahead of time. Are you thinking that this girl was beating on her ahead of time, so this was self-defense? I mean, what theory makes that okay?
No.
Because see, this is the problem. I say bullies have parents, and I'm really proud of you for being here. I mean that sincerely. Thank you for being here and answering this, because it gives us some insight into what these bullies get when they get home. Are you defending her behavior, justifying her behavior, saying, it depends on the context?
Like, I'm defending her to a certain extent.
And as her father, I'd expect you to defend her to a certain extent, but I would also expect you to say, she crossed the line here, and I need to hold her accountable for that and require her to do better.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Do you do that?
Yes.
Okay, so which is it? Either she crossed the line and did what she shouldn't do, or it was okay?
No, she crossed the line and did what she shouldn't do. Definitely.
And did you say that to her?
Yes, absolutely.
You said that to her?
Yes, multiple times.
She lured her daughter into a bathroom, according to reports. Do you believe that's true?
Yeah, I can. By persuasion, yes.
Well, there's a lot. There are a lot of witnesses to this one. I mean, and she did get suspended for 4 months for this one. So the school investigated this. There were other parties involved in this. There was a cameraman on standby for when she came in there.
Yeah.
Her story was that your daughter had been talking to a boy that his daughter liked.
Yeah.
So she lured her into the bathroom and attacked her. Are you saying that's bullying behavior or not?
It definitely is bullying behavior. First of all, I am extremely sorry to you two about how everything went. I don't raise my kids to be bullies or to belittle anybody. You know, I've never, this is my first time meeting you guys, and I really am sincerely sorry for the situations at hand, you know. And my daughter is very sorry about what she has done to you guys' daughters, and I am too. So I'm gonna say this whole situation is like being misconstrued and is being taken overboard. And I feel like us as parents, we could have sat down and talked about the whole situation with our kids. And it didn't have to go to the news or the police or even here.
I did believe it did need to.
It did.
It did.
Mm-hmm.
And until she gets help, it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
It's not. And the day that we got the restraining order finalized for a lifetime, she was in front of my door that night, and they spit on our floor. She had given the finger, said, "Excuse me, I'm sorry," said that. All kinds of things happened after that. That's, to me,
That's not
she didn't take
true.
responsibility for what she had done. She didn't
Yes, she
learn
has.
anything. She didn't even show up to court. So it's one of those things.
Because she never got served.
I'm grateful that you are apologizing, but I do not feel by her behavior that she is sorry, and I don't think she's learned anything.
And that's not my daughter.
And
That's not my daughter.
don't think that, she was persuaded. I feel like she was the persuader. She was the one that told the girls to get my daughter and bring her to the bathroom. Your daughter was in the stall hiding and jumped out the stall when my daughter went into the bathroom.
Okay, I understand that, but from the video standpoint, you can blatantly hear her friends telling her, get her, get her, get her. So that's persuasion. They're persuading her to jump on this girl. I honestly, I don't know your daughter. I don't know your daughter. I just know mine. And I know my daughter is not just some bully, or she's not some...
She's my daughter's monster.
Huh?
She's my daughter's monster.
Okay. I understand you saying that.
I don't think so.
Prior to the situation, I've had heard little things about your daughter, that she was with her friends, antagonizing my daughter, picking fun at her, yelling things out the bus windows at her, out of you guys' apartment windows at her and her
My
friends.
daughter is terrified of your daughter. She would not even do that.
Carla, you're shaking your head like, what is it you're shaking your head no about?
There's a lot.
Well, what's your number one?
My daughter's not a monster.
Well, we're out of time tonight, but tomorrow I'll sit down with Carla and Irvin's 13-year-old daughter, accused of bullying her classmates. Now, you're going to be surprised to find out why this young girl is so angry. Take a look. Two mothers say their teen daughters will never be the same after their beatdown by the same bully actually went viral.
Your daughter was in the stall hiding and jumped out when my daughter went into the bathroom.
Did you feel like you got even?
At the time?
Bullies beat his son to death. Some of them are going to spend the rest of their lives in the penitentiary. You need to make a decision how you're going to spend the rest of yours. You do not want to miss that tomorrow. I want to thank you and all of my guests tonight. My New York Times bestseller, We've Got Issues, How All Americans Can Stand Strong for Our Country's Soul and Sanity, is on sale now everywhere books are sold. For more information about tonight's show, log on to drphil.com. We'll see you next time.